Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. Today we are talking about taste, and the reason that I want to speak about taste is because I'm hearing and have heard for pretty much my whole career people giving opinions about taste as though it's gospel, and we need to explore why that's a problem. Taste is subjective. Taste is influenced by so many variables. And so today we're going to talk about the judgmental nature of the way that we as an industry tend to speak about taste. And we're going to talk about the approachability that we want to invite our customers into and each other into when we do talk about taste. So, what are the things that influence the way that you experience taste, particularly on that thing that we call our palates? And why is it so subjective? Well, something as simple as if you've eaten something spicy, or if you consume a lot of oils, or if you smoke, if you're around smokers, the diet that you experience, the microbiome that makes up the palate or your mouth, your nose, your gut, all of these things influence the way that you describe a particular flavor experience. Also, the thing that influences that is understanding the meaning of what you are tasting. So, what do I mean by that? When somebody says that they're tasting a strawberry, we, more than anybody, should know that when we say the word coffee, it can mean so many things. Is it a coffee from Colombia? Is it a coffee from Ethiopia? Is it washed? Is it natural? How was it roasted? Is it a darker roast? Is it a medium roast? Did the roast crash? All of these things can contribute to what we mean by the word coffee. Similarly, when we say strawberry, what kind of a strawberry are we talking about? Is it an organic strawberry? Is it a ripe strawberry? Is it a strawberry from Thailand versus a strawberry from here in California, or a strawberry grown in Australia? All of these things provide different meanings for strawberry, and being able to further define that is the reason we become professional tasters. The point of a professional taster is to have better language, more detailed understanding of how to talk about what they're tasting. Now, if you are telling people this is what is in this cup, a better way and a less judgmental way to say that is, this is what I'm tasting in the cup. Now, if you haven't gone through the process of calibrating as a team, you may have seen on Instagram people get these kind of fruit plates and nut plates and chocolate plates and all these different kinds of plates, citrus plates, etc., etc. And they taste them as a team, and you've always wondered why people do that. Well, a really great way for you as a team to get shared language so that you understand what you mean by certain things is to do this. Grab a plate, have it themed, so that perhaps today you are exploring citrus flavors. Take a look at the flavor wheel, either the one that's the most recent one that's been released by SCA, or any of the ones that you have decided that you connect with the most. Take it, put it up in your coffee lab, and start to group the flavors and create them on a plate. And then what you want to do is have everybody taste, let's say, a lime or 3 or 4 different types of limes, and start to develop some shared experiences so that when everybody in the room is using the word lime at a cupping to describe a flavor that they're tasting, everyone in the room pretty much understands what they mean by lime, because when I tasted a lime and you tasted a lime and everybody else in the room tasted the particular lime that we did when we were calibrating, we all understand what we mean by that. Now, people's sensitivity to acidity is different. People's sensitivity to sweetness and sourness and etc. is all different. But when you all taste the same thing, my understanding of what you mean by lime is clearer when we've tasted the same lime and I know that what I'm tasting is what you're explaining. So that happens. So let's say today we experience a citrus plate and we do taste this lime. Now in a cupping from, in 12 months from now, if we're together and you say, I'm tasting lime in this cup, I then have a reference point of what you mean by lime and can say to you, is it the same as the lime that you tasted or we tasted when we had that plate, that citrus plate? When that person says yes, I have a clear reference on my own palate of what they mean, and we can formulate a discussion around that. So that's a really great way to build shared, I guess, calibration. That's the word that we as an industry use. Shared language around flavors so that we can calibrate closer and closer every time. And the more you cup together, not that I'm advocating for unsafe cupping in the middle of a pandemic, but the more that you can cup the same coffees and build shared language around it, the more that you will understand what people mean when they say lime, and it becomes less of necessarily a subjective thing and a more accurate shared description. But bear in mind, your customers don't have that luxury of being able to calibrate with you. So trying to force your customer to agree with, and I see this at times when I'm in cafes where a customer will have an espresso or a brewed cup that's a special coffee, and the barista will say to them, so you should be tasting grapefruits and you should be tasting strawberries. This idea of you should be tasting is perhaps a little judgmental and makes the cup more unapproachable and makes the language unapproachable. How can we make these kinds of things more approachable? Especially when we have an industry where in the specialty coffee industry, our consumers feel a little bit intimidated by what we do. Now, the way that we make that more approachable is by saying to people that they can taste whatever they taste and own your own experience in what you're tasting. So instead of saying you should be tasting, what you could say is what I taste is grapefruits and strawberries. Now, what that means is that the person no longer feels intimidated by what they're supposed to taste. The next question when you say to them, what I taste is grapefruits and strawberries, is what are you experiencing? And now that draws you into a dialogue. Now that says, I understand that you can taste whatever you taste, and however much or how little of what you're tasting you taste is correct. So we don't want people to feel that they have to be on board with what it is that we are experiencing. Remember, we're coffee professionals. We have had more exposure, and we can probably use more words to describe what we're tasting than what our customers have, or what the less experienced professionals in our industry have been able to taste. So the takeaway from this discussion is, let's be less judgmental and let's be more approachable. Make it more approachable for everybody to experience coffee however it is they experience it. I hope this has been helpful. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.